Hello and welcome to another live English stream. It's really good to see you. If this is your first time watching, my name's Craig and I'm from the website mentioningles.com, where you can study English for free and improve all aspects of your English. And we also have a podcast at inglespodcast.com, where you can listen for free every week. Listen to me and my co-host Reza, also to improve your English. And with me again, it's
again.
People know you if they're regular listeners. My good friend and a wonderful teacher from putitlikethis.com. How are you doing, Lynn?
I'm fine, thank you, Craig. Yeah, and thanks. Now, my website is putitlikethis.com. Unfortunately, I'm not free, like Mansion Ingles, but I can still teach you English too. And what I specialize in is I do tailor-made courses. So if you have a specific objective that you want to practice, and for example, it could be a presentation in English that you have to do for business, or maybe you're doing a lot of intensive exam preparation and there's a particular aspect that you want to improve, then I'll create a course around your specific needs. But I do all of my teaching online now. So if you're interested, you can go to putitlikethis.com.
I know you're very busy at the moment, but do you have a waiting list for students who are interested in working with you, but maybe you don't have places at the moment? Can they contact you and then you'll get back to them when you have time?
Yes, of course. Yeah? If you contact me via my website at putitlikethis.com, then I'll reply to you and I'll tell you exactly. I can send you more information and details about the courses. Yeah, so do get in touch if you want to. No problem.
Okay, fantastic. People are starting to join us live. Hello to Alex and Gemma. Good to see you, Gemma, again. And Norma is with us. Welcome, Norma.
Great. Hi.
Claudia, I discovered that Cloudcam is actually Claudia.
Claudia. Oh, that's good, because we've been calling you Cloudcam all the time.
I've been calling you Cloudcam, Claudia, for about more than 6 months, I think. So now we know you're Claudia.
Me too, the thing. So Claudia, okay, we'll have to remember that then. Sorry about that, Claudia. And Heidi.
From Buenos Aires. Good to see you.
Lovely.
And Caroline. Hi, Caroline. Good to see you.
She's a new fan. Great.
Yeah, Caroline's actually in my conversation course at the moment. So yesterday we were talking a little about today's topic. So I thought it would be interesting to for Caroline and other students to come and listen.
Yeah.
Time management, something that I really am interested in, but I'm not very good at. So what exactly is time management?
Well, you've got a nice definition, I think, haven't you, of time management?
I got it from the internet. The process of planning and exercising conscious control of time, being aware of your time that you spend on specific activities, especially to increase effectiveness, efficiency, and productivity. Well, that's a long sentence.
It is. So it's really about managing your time. But I think one of the key questions at the beginning, Craig, is what kind of person are you? Are you the kind of person who feels you're always short of time? Or do you take things in your stride? And do you just plod along and do things as they come? Are you quite relaxed or do you feel quite stressed?
Both. I try to organize myself. I try to take things in my stride, but because of the way I'm working at the moment, suddenly in one day, I'll get a lot of work come in and then I become stressed and anxious and I don't feel that I'm managing my time well. So my work isn't constant. It goes up and down. So when I'm in a down period and I'm managing my time, I'm very relaxed. And as you said, I take things in my stride. We'll look at that expression in a minute. But then when everything comes in all together, I get very stressed, very anxious. I don't sleep well. And I worry that I'm not on top of my work. But what about you? Are you similar or are you different to that?
Well, I think yes and no. Obviously, my work is also like yours. It's like sometimes I think it never rains, but it pours, you know. You have moments when you're freelance, like we are, we're self-employed, And we have moments where we have not so many students. And then suddenly in 1 week, suddenly this happened to me in just before Easter. I suddenly got 10 new students, which was too many. And of course, you know, you don't really know. There's an expression in English which is called, you have to make hay when the sun shines. Do you know that expression, Craig?
Yeah.
And it means that that was from the old agricultural, it's an agricultural metaphor that, of course, if you're making, the hay is the grass, the dried grass that the animals eat. And of course, that has to be harvested and it has to be dried so that the cattle and the sheep can eat it over the winter. And that's called hay. And this expression is, you have to make hay when the sun shines. You can't, if the sun's shining, that's your opportunity to dry it. And of course, if you wait and you go to the beach, maybe the next day it's going to rain and all your crop is ruined. And that applies, I think, to the kind of work that we do, because it's quite irregular. When you do get demand for it, you do have to respond to that demand, and you're not always in control. You can't even out the students. So that's part of our jobs, isn't it? And
yeah,
and I don't really get I think when I was younger, I used to get more stressed. I like time management, and I don't know if I can say this, but I think I'm quite good at it.
Well,
managing my
we'll
time.
We'll talk
see.
about it today.
But
We'll see.
I
We'll
think I
compare
have
notes.
learned. I've learned over the years to do it better. But I think my personality, I think it's also to do with personality. Because if you're good at time management, you can take things in your stride. We will explain that in a moment, that expression. It means you can take things easy if you're well organized. But I think it's also to do with your personality. And I'm an active person. So if there's a problem or somebody needs something for me, I jump immediately. I'm like a dog. You throw the ball and I'll run. And so that's my natural personality. So I think because of that, I often get myself into situations where I feel under pressure, because I don't say no very easily. I try to solve everybody's problems all the time. And that can make problems with time management. I'm not a relaxed person. Yeah.
I think saying no is a big part of time management. And I think we'll talk about that a bit later, because we do have some tips and advice for you. But while you're watching, please let us know in the chat what you are like when it comes to time management. We've told you our opinions on our time management in our lives, but how well do you manage your time? Now, I've just put an expression in the chat. When Lynne was talking, she was speaking about having a lot of work and being a bit stressed. You can use the expression to be snowed under. If you're snowed under with work, that idiom means that there's a lot of work on top of you. Imagine with the snow on top of you. So you're snowed under. You've got so much work that you're feeling maybe overworked and a bit stressed. So shall we look at some vocabulary, Lynne?
Yes, because there's lots of vocabulary. So I'm sure that when we're talking, you're going to hear us say a lot of these expressions.
And remember, if you do have any questions while you're listening, even if you're listening after the recording, then please write your questions below in the chat and we will answer them for you. So you can be pressed for time, which means you don't have a lot of time. If you say to somebody, I'd like to help you with your problem, but unfortunately this week or today, I'm a bit pressed for time. That means I don't have a lot of time. And all of these expressions speak about the negative side of time management. When you're feeling snowed under, you're feeling pressed for time.
And then we have this other one, to be short of time, which means that you haven't got enough. So the idea of being short of time, that you'd like more time, but you haven't got enough. To be out of time. I think the expression there, to be out, means you're out of the the time that was allocated to you.
No
if
time
you're
left.
out of time, there's no time left. To be always in a hurry, to be stressed. And we have this idea, when you said to be pressed for time, there's a lot of metaphors with this idea of being squeezed and being trapped.
Mm-hmm.
That's also the idea under the metaphor to be snowed under. I think it's got that concept that you're snowed in. When it snows a lot and you can't get out of your house, yeah, it means that you're trapped. And we also say things like time is tight, or I'm tight for time. Tight is when something is not loose. It's not easy. It's tight. You can have tight jeans, for example. And so we can also say time is tight. So a lot of these idioms use the metaphor of the idea that time is something and it's being squeezed, like an orange. Mm-hmm.
Hi, Christine. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Francisca from Mallorca, and also Chiska from Mallorca. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Chiska. And Hema says that she tends to be stressed. Yeah, I tend to be stressed a lot of the time. Not always, but a lot of the time I tend to be stressed because I think I don't manage my time well enough. Claudia says that she's a night owl.
Oh, that's a nice expression, a night owl.
Do you know the opposite, Claudia? What's the expression for someone who works better in the mornings or likes to wake up early and take advantage of the mornings more than the night? Do you know the expression for that? I'll leave that with you for a few minutes while we go on.
You're a night owl too, aren't you, Craig?
I used to be.
Okay.
I used to be. I used to work very well at night until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes. Wow. Mm-hmm. But now I'm the opposite. So what's the opposite? Do you know?
Christine's just written it. An early bird. Well done, Christine.
I'm not exactly an early bird because I don't wake up early, and it takes me a long time after I get up to wake up and feel ready to work. But I do work better in the morning than after lunch. After lunch, I get very sleepy, very tired. And I do work in the afternoon that doesn't really need me to think creatively. So I do my creative work in the morning when I need to think and concentrate. And in the afternoon, I just do the boring mechanical tasks.
So, I'm not Claudia, I'm not a night owl at all. In fact, this Facebook class puts me at my limits. Because this Facebook class I think Claudia is in Colombia, but this Facebook class here is 8 o'clock in the evening. And it goes from 8 till 9. And that's my absolute limit. You can probably see I'm not at my best.
But we can...
You should see me in the morning. I'm really...
We can bring it forward. We can make it 7 p.m. if that's better for you.
It's no, it's fine. I can manage this, but I'm at my best. I'm an early bird. I'm at my best in the morning. You can ask my students. I don't know if any of my students are in here tonight, but I even have some students at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'm very good at 8 o'clock in the morning.
That's too much of an early bird for me. 8 o'clock in the morning. That's when I'm getting up. So let's look at some of the opposite, more positive expressions speaking about time. Lynne mentioned earlier to take things in your stride. That's here, to take everything in your stride, to have all the time in the world. I've got all the time in the world to do my work today. Lots and lots of time. And if you take things as they come, then you're very chilled, laid back, relaxed. There's another expression, isn't there? Laid back, relaxed, and easygoing. You're easygoing. If you take things as they come, you don't get stressed about things. You're very relaxed.
And maybe we should just explain stride, because that's maybe you're not clear on the word stride is. This comes from the metaphor, the next expression, to take things one step at a time. And when you're walking, everybody has a natural distance between as they're walking. You have a natural distance between your 2 feet when you put one foot in front of the other. And that is called your stride. Okay, so it's to do with the length and the rhythm of when you walk. to take things in your... Now, if you take things in your stride, it means you're walking steadily and things come along and you deal with them and you don't slow down and you don't hurry. You take things at the right pace. You just take things as they're going. Do you like my little fingers moving like that?
Yes, have you heard the expression? If I said to you, Lynn, it's a very London expression. I went out yesterday and I bought a new pair of strides.
And that means trousers, doesn't it?
Trousers.
Yeah, not in the north where I'm from, but that in
strides in London are trousers. A new pair of strides.
Yeah, new pair of strides. Okay, right.
Yeah, Claudia could never be an early bird.
Okay.
So while I was thinking about this subject a couple of days ago, I watched a video on YouTube about productivity and time management. And the guy in the video said, do we own our time or is it allocated to us? And obviously, when we work, we need to work, we need to earn money, we need to eat, we need to have a roof over our heads to get the basic things of life. And if we have a family, we need to allocate or give time to our children, to our husband or wife or partner. But apart from that, I think a lot of us feel that we don't own our time, that our time is something beyond our control. So I was just thinking about that the other day and thinking that we do have a lot more control over our time than we sometimes realize. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you gave me this question to think about, and I was answering them today, these questions in my notes.
What were your thoughts?
I said, absolutely, we own it. You have to own it. If you don't own it, you don't live. And we are free. I mean, we're fortunate. We're not slaves. Yeah. We do, obviously, we do have, we have commitments that we have to do. We have responsibilities, but all of the responsibilities, let's face it, nearly all of the responsibilities that we have, we choose those responsibilities more or less. Yeah. At some point in our life, we've made a choice. And I think it's important that we own our time. I don't like other people owning my time. And well, certainly you and I, definitely, we're self-employed. Yeah. If we're self-employed, theoretically, we are masters of our timetable.
But we haven't always been in that situation.
No, we haven't.
So we haven't. But
even if we haven't, we have chosen to work for somebody else.
And are you happier?
I mean, you have a contract of work, you sign a contract and you agree. You might not like it, but you have agreed to it.
Yeah.
So I don't like the idea that you think that you're not in command of your time. I think that's an easy way out. That's like saying it's somebody else's fault that I'm stressed. Usually we're stressed because we make the stress. I think I'm being quite controversial here. Maybe many of you disagree with me. I don't know.
We'll see what people think. What do you think if you're watching? We asked the quiz question before. How well do you manage your time? Do you feel that you are in control of your time? And if not, why not? And also, have you ever tried to improve your time management? If so, why? And were you successful? Were you able to take back some control over your time? And how did you do that? So let us know in the chat. Give us your opinion, and we'll share your opinion with everybody. But we've got some tips for you, haven't we? We've got some ideas and advice of how to improve your time management, and I hope you'll find.
Well, are they ours, or did you steal these from the internet?
I knew most of them, all of them actually, but I did, because my memory isn't as good as it used to be. I did go and check on one or two different blogs, and I made a list. But yeah, I've heard of these before. They're quite common actually.
They are. And I have to say, when you said, have you ever tried to improve the question that you had before, which the people are going to answer, I hope, our students tonight. Have you ever tried to improve your time? I did many, many years ago. when I just started work in a company, and they gave some in-service training, and I chose a time management course. And I went on a time management course for 2 days, and I was very young. I think I would have been about
And it
maybe
took you 3 weeks to
23.
do it.
No, it was 2 days. And I have to say, it was the most useful management course I have ever done in my entire life, was my time management course. And from that point on, when I was 23, I really regretted. I wished I'd had that when I was a student doing my degree, right? And I didn't have it, but I did that 2-day time management course, and I learned those tips that we're about to talk about. And I found it the most useful piece of training that I've ever had.
Okay,
and unto this day, I still practice the time management that I was taught in that course.
And were there any things that were not in the list here that you learned on that course that weren't included? Or
There
are they
might
most
be.
of the points are?
I think most of the points are in it, but there might be
Okay.
other things that I've adapted. Yeah, but I
If
think
anything
most of the
occurs
points are in it.
to you, then let us know as
I
we're
will
going
say.
through them, for sure. So setting goals, was that part of the course?
Yes, that was.
Did they talk about SMART goals?
Well, no, they didn't. You can tell me about that. I remember in my course, they said that in terms of a daily planning, it depends on, you have short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. I have to say, in terms of long-term goals, I'm not into that very much, really. I don't plan my life that long in advance. Yeah. So long-term goals are not my thing, although for some people it works. Midterm goals, maybe for the month, for the 2 months. Yeah. But not much more than that, really. But I do daily goals. Daily, I'm a fan of my daily goals.
And what does that look like? How do you record?
Well, I was
or
told
set those
on the
goals?
course to choose 3. You choose 3 things that you have all of your tasks, and you select 3 that you think have priority, that you really need to get done today. And they don't have to be the ones that take the longest or are the most difficult, but you choose 3 that you think are realistic to get achieved. And then at the end of the day, you feel good about yourself because you've chosen 3 things, and you go to bed every night and you know that you've done those 3 things. And it was the best advice ever. It takes all the stress away.
What does that look like for you? Do you write them down on a Post-it note, or do you use a diary? Piece of paper.
I have pieces of paper every day, to-do lists. You see, I have lots of goals there, but it gives me such pleasure when I start to cross them out. And you can see that I cross them out. You see, I've got them all crossed out, and then I tear it up, and then I have a little showing you all my secrets. I have a little paper bag here. What pleasure I get when I rip up the things I've done and put in there. That's to recycle my paper. So when I've finished my list, I can tear it up. And then I have a diary. I'm very old fashioned. I have an agenda, and my agenda is very full, you see, like this. And it's all crossed out, and I have all of my appointments. So on the basis of my agenda and my list from the previous day, I write a new list. And I always complete 3 things every day, at least. If not, no good.
You're calling that an agenda, excuse me. And yesterday in a class I had, and Caroline's here, she's watching at the moment, I said that an agenda would be used more for a meeting, like a meeting agenda.
Yeah, you're
right.
right.
And a diary would be more, because I'm worried now that I
No,
gave
you're
them
not.
wrong
You're
information.
absolutely right. I'm speaking Spanglish.
Because an agenda, which will be the Spanish word, is as an appointment diary or
my diary.
schedule.
It's my diary. My diary.
Okay, just wanted to make that clear. Now,
yes, sorry, I beg your pardon. It's because I've lived here so many years.
I was worried.
No, I've lived here so many years, and people say agenda, and I've started saying it as well. So,
yeah, I did the same thing.
Sorry.
But I wanted to use your example of those 3 goals and think about how students could use that with their English. So, for example, you could set a goal or 3 goals for tomorrow. 1 will be vocabulary, 1 will be grammar, and 1 would be listening, for example. And your goals should be SMART. I've put that in the chat. A SMART goal is a goal that is specific. So if one of your goals is listening, you will listen to a 30-minute podcast. That's very specific. Measurable. So you must be able to measure your goal. Well, if it's 30 minutes, that's how long it is. And you can chop it up. You can divide it into 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, but it's a measurable goal. And it's achievable because you can listen to that while you're walking the dog or doing exercise or cleaning the flat or going on the bus. So it's an achievable goal. It's not 5 or 6 hours. It's just 30 minutes. And the R in SMART is realistic. So it's a realistic goal. It's something that you can do. It is within your ability. In your world, you can listen to something. You have a mobile phone. It's a realistic goal. And the final one is time-based. And of course, 30 minutes is a time-based goal. So make sure your goals are SMART. Make sure they're specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. And you can set your goals depending on what areas of your English you want to improve.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what Claudia says.
So she's tried to improve her time management, but she's also learned to be less hard with herself and takes advantage of the lapse of time when she feels more productive.
Yeah,
without guilt. Yeah, and I think that's really true, because what you have to do, even though you set the goals, and I've got this little long list, right, is that when things come up, you need to just let yourself flow, you know?
Go with the flow.
Go with the flow. That's why, for me, I'm satisfied if I can just tick off 3 things. I don't have to tick off all. Sometimes my list is doable in a whole day. But if I don't do it, it doesn't really matter either, because there are moments where you might get distracted, or there are moments, I think, that we do have to just sort of enjoy time, and we have to give our brains a sense of freedom. Because your SMART goals that you were describing, Craig, where it's achievable and it's a certain time and it's achievable, measurable, and what was the other 3rd criteria?
Specific, measurable,
and achievable.
Realistic and time-based.
Yeah, that's all very logical, isn't it? But we're human beings and we're not machines. And I think our brains as well sometimes need time. For example, I think boredom is often a very positive thing. Sometimes when I'm bored, and I let myself sit on the sofa and let my mind wander, that's sometimes when my most creative ideas come.
That's
not
true.
When I've planned them to think about them, not when I've thought, okay, it's 12 o'clock, now I have to be creative. Yeah.
That's true, and I agree. But also the idea of SMART goals is that I hear some students say sometimes, oh, I must improve my fluency. I must get fluent in English. What does that mean?
Yes, that's not measurable.
That's a dream. That's not a goal or a plan. A goal is in 6 months' time, I'm going to travel to London and I'm going to meet 6 people and have conversations with 6 people in a different city. That's something more achievable because it's more specific.
Yes.
Improve my fluency is very difficult to measure. So you don't really know if you've achieved your goal.
No, I agree. And I agree with that. Often students have an objective for vocabulary. They say, oh, I must improve my vocabulary. I'm going to
I must learn phrasal verbs.
And I say to them, but how are you learning your vocabulary? And they haven't really got a plan. And there are many things now, apps for your phone, like Quizlet, for example, where you could dedicate maybe 10 minutes to going through your notes from your classes and extracting vocabulary that you can't remember, like highlighting it. You could take 10 minutes to do that. You can create a set of vocabulary cards in Quizlet, which takes 5 minutes.
Or Anki, yeah.
Or Anki. And then you can set yourself the goal that every day when you are waiting at the bus stop, on your phone, you're going to do 2 minutes vocabulary revision. Yeah. And that is a much more achievable thing. If you're looking at 10 words a day, in a week, you've got 70 words.
Wow.
Yeah, which is a lot. That's a lot. But you have to break it down, I think, definitely. Set goals. And
Christine says something
measurable.
very similar to Claudia. I've been ebbing and flowing. That's a nice expression. To ebb and flow like the tide of the sea, where the sea goes in and out, between periods of successful time management and long cycles of delays and procrastination. Completely normal. I'm exactly the same, Christine. I get boosted to do a lot of work and achieve a lot of things, and then I get periods where I just kick back and relax a little more, and I'm not so driven and I'm not so enthusiastic and motivated about things. That's completely normal.
Claudia's, let's look at Francisca as well.
It depends on the circumstances, Francisca. If you must take care of your that you don't have much time. That's true. Yeah. But you can speak to your baby in English, and you can listen to podcasts maybe when you're keeping your parents company or when they're sleeping. So you need to try to find ways where you can maybe multitask a little bit and make the most of the time you have between, and as well as having obviously your family obligations. But I think if you organize yourself, which is another point, another tip we've got for you, how to be organized, then I think it's a lot easier. But I do sympathize that when you're very busy with family, it's difficult to find time.
I think it's not easy to feel good about taking the time, taking control of the time, because those babies and parents, and when you're caring for people, you feel that they are taking your time, and maybe you wouldn't naturally want to allocate so much time to that. That's true. That's stressful. But what you have to try to do is, I think, put limits, and you have to try to find a way to organize yourself so you feel good in the smaller areas that you have for yourself. And when I said before that I think we are not slaves, what I mean is, I think, for example, prisoners in a prison, they are truly not in control of their time because other people force them to do certain things at certain times. That's what I mean. I mean that we have obligations, of course, and sometimes they're not obligations that we would like to dedicate so much time to. Maybe we would like more time. I think that that's true, but I think we are owners of our time in that sense.
And I remember when my parents were not well, when they were sick and I was looking after them, I used that as an excuse not to work. And I could have done some things while I was looking after them, but I used it as an excuse. Okay, I have this obligation and that's going to take me away from my work. If I'm honest, I did use it as an excuse not to do work.
Okay, and I wanted, can you put up Claudia's? Because I have to ask you this. I didn't realize that SMART stood for SMART. Does it, Craig? So what is the R?
The R is for specific. Realistic.
Realistic. So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time-based.
Yes, that's why there's an acronym. And you're smart if you do that. Christine says there's an interesting book called Atomic Habits. Yes, I have that book, James Clear. I love it. You'll enjoy it, Christine. It's quite a short book, but it's very, very good. He gives the example of removing bad habits, beginning new habits, and the idea that if you want to start flossing your teeth, then you just make the goal of flossing one tooth per day. Of course, when you start flossing your one tooth, you're going to carry on and you're going to floss all of your teeth. Of course you are. So if your goal is to learn 2 phrasal verbs per day,
you'll end up with 10.
3 months. You're probably going to learn more. It's just that starting, that getting the wheels rolling and getting the good habits, replacing the bad ones.
And starting small, maybe starting small.
Yes,
is that like small. Atomic, meaning small?
Number 2, prioritize. So there are tasks that are urgent. There are tasks that are important. There are tasks that are important and urgent,
Mm-hmm.
and there are tasks that are not important and not urgent.
Yes.
In other words,
I'm going to
yes,
add one though. I'm going to
go on
add
then.
one there.
Go
There
on.
are also tasks that make you feel good.
For example?
Well, because maybe it's not urgent and it's not important, but it makes you feel calm.
Like putting your notes in your bag there that you
Exactly.
finished your list.
Exactly.
And
Or
you feel
choosing,
pleased.
and I use your priority differentiation. What's urgent? Very clear. What's urgent and important. So if you've got lots and lots of things, you've got to prioritize. And obviously you prioritize with what is urgent and what is important. And sometimes if you've got too many things, you use those criteria to separate and differentiate things. But I also think it's important to look after yourself and not feel stressed. And if you want to not feel stressed, it's important that you do something for yourself that makes you feel good. Because if you don't feel good, you're not going to do anything right. So sometimes I like to tidy my desk, for example. I'm not obsessive compulsive. I'm not. But occasionally it makes me feel good to sharpen my pencil. So I'll sharpen my pencil, even though I've got a lot of things full of pencils and sharp. Yeah. But I don't know. I think sometimes we have to realize that sometimes our brains just need to do something.
Yeah. There's a French expression,
to switch off a little bit.
I think it's called mise en place in French, where you clean your workspace and prepare it ready for the next day. So you get the knives ready, make sure they're sharp, and you clean your workspace and you organize the ingredients you're going to need for the following work session. So that idea of preparing, the preparation in getting your workspace clean and comfortable and pleasurable, that you have nice things around you, makes you work better. That's a fact.
And I try, for example, always to clear my desk before I go to bed. So I have my students and I have the paperwork for each of my students. Of course, I work online, so I have a lot of stuff online, but I'm still a paper person. So I have student files. And when I finish a class, I put the student file on one side. But it's very important to me that at the end of the day, all my student files are back filed in the cupboard and that my desk is clean. And then it makes me feel that I've finished my day. If I just stop work and go into the living room and everything's in a mess, I know that the next morning I have to start by tidying up. And that's another job. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
I like to start fresh and knowing with the time management seminar I did, when it said that you selected 3 goals, you're always supposed to do that the night before.
That was my question. I wanted to ask you that the night before, so that you wake up in the morning, you know exactly what you're going to do.
And you can sleep at night because your head is not going, oh, I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to do that, because you've already planned it. You've got your list. Everything's clear. You haven't forgotten anything. And then you can sleep like a baby.
I want to go back to what we mentioned before about things being urgent and things being important. If something's important, that's your plan. Let's look at English for a second and imagine that you've planned one morning to learn or to write an essay. So you've set aside, you've put 3 hours tomorrow morning for your essay. And suddenly, if you're Lynne, you might get a phone call or an email from Craig in the middle of your essay saying, hey, Lynne, we've got to do this this live stream next week. Can you please send me your notes? Well, that might seem urgent. It's urgent to me, perhaps, but it's not important to Lynne because she's writing her essay. So differentiating, making a difference between other people's urgency and what's important for you is really important. So you've got to learn to put those things to one side because they're not important, or sorry, they're not urgent for you at this time, and keep working on things that are important to you and keep focused on your goals. I think that's something that distracts a lot of people and takes people away from achieving their goals.
When I did the time management seminar very many years ago, they talked about interruptions. And in my job, I had a telephone that used to ring all the time. Obviously,
That's
it was
the
before
worst
social media. So we didn't really have, at that time, we didn't have emails. So I was constantly disturbed by the telephone. And you had to pick the telephone up, or I had people coming into my office and I had to deal with them. And it was impossible for me to actually concentrate on tasks. And the time management guru, somebody who knows everything about it, the time management guru, he said to us that we have to timetable time to concentrate. And that's also a practice that I've continued to do to this day. So, and I think it's harder nowadays because, of course, I'm at my desk now on this live stream. I have emails coming into the computer. I have WhatsApps coming in here, and emails as well coming in here.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to get distracted. And so I still do timetable moments where I turn all of that off and I just concentrate on something. So I think that's really important, because nowadays we get interrupted even more than we used to.
So put your phone on silent and ignore the messages. Don't go down YouTube holes looking at videos. Concentrate on what you're doing. We have to move on really quickly because we only have like 15 minutes. Christine's mentioned
we're running out of time, Craig.
We're not managing our time very well.
We're not managing the time properly.
The Eisenhower matrix. I don't know that, Christine, but I'd like to know something about it. If you want to come in and join us, I can put the link in the chat. You can tell us what it is, because I've never heard
great.
of it.
It sounds interesting.
So I will put the link in a second in the chat. And Caroline said, chaos on the desk, chaos in the head. Yes,
absolutely.
A messy desk is a messy mind. That's what I always say. A messy desk is a messy mind. Moving on. Can you take this, Lynn, while I put the link in the chat for Christine or anybody?
Oh, okay. This is the third tip from your time management tips. So the third one is you should set a time limit for your tasks. And that's because somebody clever once said, I can see you have a quote, Parkinson said work expands to fill the time allotted for its completion. Now, I agree absolutely with that. If you make me write an essay in Spanish and you don't give me a time limit, I could spend all day on it. You give me 45 minutes and I'll produce something in 45 minutes. And I absolutely agree with that. So I think it is important to set a time limit. When Craig was talking about improving your English for you guys as English students, this is absolutely the case. Don't say, I'm going to learn vocabulary. Say, I'm going to spend 10 minutes learning vocabulary, because especially for vocabulary, it's impossible to spend 1 hour learning vocabulary. Your brain can't do it, I would say. That's my opinion. But I think the practice of my students throughout the years has proven you can sit there for an hour with a book, good luck, but you'll probably only remember 10 words. You can be waiting in the kitchen for the pasta water to boil so that you can put your pasta in. That takes 5 minutes and you can learn 5 of those words.
There you go. And speaking of setting a time limit, why not block your calendar? I use Google Calendar. Sometimes I block an hour or 2 hours on the calendar for a specific urgent and important task that needs to be done quickly. Now, my calendar is my holy place where I only put things that cannot be moved. Obligations, for example, doctors, dentists, this live stream, classes, things that happen that must happen at a particular time. I wouldn't normally put something on the calendar that was like a long-term task, like materials creation or something. That goes on a different list. So my calendar is my map of what's happening during the week that I'm obligated to do. So if you do block time on your calendar, then that to me says that you've got to focus in that time period on something very specific, like writing an essay, for example. 6, don't waste time on non-essential tasks.
Unless it makes you feel good.
Unless it makes you feel good. Absolutely agree. Yes.
Remember, making you feel good is an essential task.
But don't you ever sometimes you're working on something that you need to think a lot, that requires a lot of concentration, and suddenly somebody sends you a WhatsApp or something, or you go somewhere on the internet that's interesting, and it takes you away from what you're doing. Happens to me a
Absolutely.
lot
That happens
because
to me
it's
a lot
easy.
too.
It's easy to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Number 7, plan ahead but be flexible.
Absolutely. I agree with that totally. That's why I cross things out and scribble them out and move them around. I'm very flexible. Yeah. But I do like planning. No? I plan all the time. But you have to be flexible because otherwise you feel bad, right? You have to be flexible, feel good, and realize that sometimes you have to rearrange things.
Life happens, and people get sick, and people come to visit, and families sometimes have emergencies, and you just have to adjust your scheduling and not feel bad about it.
Caroline's noticed, she said, what was number 4? I think you skipped it.
Did I?
I think you did. According to my list here, you did.
Well spotted, Caroline. Caroline's paying attention.
Caroline's taking notes. I can see this. Caroline's taking notes.
Organize yourself. Yeah, we haven't really spoken about organization. Well, Lynne, you spoke a little bit about organization before, and it is important to have your workspace organized, to plan.
I have everything in my life organized, Craig. I am a bit of an organization freak.
But that's one thing I admire about you, because you always seem to know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and you seem to have everything in order. Everything.
Well, I think that came, and I'm sure that the ladies here, if you've got children, I know, it's to do with having kids. I'm sure Hema will agree with me. It's and it really is. And I mean, I wasn't as always like this, but it came from needs must. It came from necessity, and especially my experience of having twins first. I've got 3 children, and I had twins first, and not very much help around me. The only way forward to not descend into total chaos was to organize everything. I have everything organized.
What do you do for accountability? Because I organize my goals and my work life and my personal life, but sometimes I don't achieve my goals. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I don't have accountability, only to myself.
To yourself.
Have you thought about that at all?
No, not really. No.
So if you promise yourself that you're going to do a task or something next week, and you write it down and it becomes a goal, what makes you do it? Because you could
we'll get this. No. I'm completely different. I'll tell you something. I organize myself, but the only person who I change my plans for is often me, not for the others. So if I plan something, right? If I plan something, and some of the things are for me and some of the things are for other people, I'm the kind of person who, if I'm running short of time and I have to prioritize, I tend to prioritize the needs of other people over my own, which is a nice thing, but it's not necessarily a good thing all the time.
I think I'm confused, because that seems to contradict it. So you only change things for you, but you let other people change your plan?
Well, no, I don't let them change, but I like if I've made a plan, I try to not mess other people around. So, for example, let's say I've organized 10 things, 5 of them are for me and 5 of them are for my family, and I realize that I have to be flexible, I have to change because there's not enough time. Then I tend to prioritize the family before myself. Which maybe is not the right thing to do. I don't know, because maybe it's not urgent what I'm doing for the family.
Only if it affects you negatively. I mean, if you're happy with that, I think that's a very positive thing, as long as it doesn't affect you negatively.
Well.
But I think sometimes you have to take time for yourself as well. You have to look after yourself and pamper yourself and put yourself first. Because if your mental health and physical health is not there, then you can't be there for other people.
No, that's absolutely true. That's true. And it's not just children. Caroline hasn't got children, but she says she's organized too. Great, Caroline.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we're just organized people. Do you think women are more organized than men, Craig?
Definitely. No doubt about it. Yeah. Not only more organized, but better at multitasking. Yeah. Okay, so 5 was blocking on the calendar. 6 was don't waste time on non-essential tasks. 7 was plan ahead, but be flexible if life happens and things come up unexpectedly. And your 3 priorities that you write down on your piece of paper the night before the day after, if you know what I mean, before you go to bed, you write your list of 3 tasks. One thing I like to think about is Eat the Frog, which is another interesting book.
I didn't know what that was when I read that.
For
it's a
Christine.
book.
Christine, after you've read Atomic Habits, have a look at Eat the Frog, because usually when you're working or studying, there's one thing that you really don't feel like doing, and that's the frog. There's one task. It might be doing your taxes. It might be writing that essay for your English teacher. It might be cleaning the flat. Whatever there is on a particular day that's the worst thing in that day, do that first. Eat that frog after breakfast, and then the rest of the day will be so pleasurable and so nice because you've eaten the frog and you've done the most important thing that you really need to do. And you've got it out the way and it's finished. It's not hanging over your head for the rest of the day.
That's interesting. I've never tried that, but I can see that could be quite nice. That could be quite relieving of stress if you do that. That's true.
And once you've done your main task, which if you have 3 things on your list, then one is probably more important than the other 2. That's the daily highlight. Once you've done that one thing, everything else you do during the day is a bonus, because you've done the one big thing that you needed to do.
Yeah.
And there's the last one we have is number 9, which is the hell yeah or no approach.
What does that mean?
When you get older and you are of a certain age.
Like you, Craig.
Thank you, like me.
Craig and I are the same age, so it's me too.
Yeah, but I look it. That's the difference. You look a lot younger. But when we talked about this a little before, we touched on it before, saying no to other people. So when you have your goals, your plans, and you've planned ahead a month, 2 months, 3 months, and you're focused on what's important for you, because of the way life is, you get people asking you to do things. You get offers coming in. It might be going out for a meal. It might be doing something with someone. And if you think about it and you really, really want to do it, and the answer is, hell yeah, that's fantastic, then do it. But if you're not that enthusiastic, don't be pressured by the obligation. Just say no.
Just
say, look, I'm really, really sorry. I've got to study for my exam. I don't have much free time at the moment. Once the exam's over, then let's get together. So you postpone things because it's not really, it doesn't really move you that much. Yeah. It doesn't motivate you that much. And I use that a lot with projects. And when Lynne said she wanted to do this live stream, I'm like, hell yeah, because I like working with Lynne. But if it wasn't something I was that keen on doing, then I'd probably say thank you, but no. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think as you get older, you have more confidence to do that. When you're younger, you have less confidence. You think you have to do everything. That's right.
Peer pressure.
I'm very much hell yeah at the moment, because I think also after the pandemic, I think life is too short. Why are we waiting? Right? If you want to do something, go ahead and do it, because you never know, tomorrow we might not be able to.
That's true.
So the pandemic has definitely reinforced my hell yeah approach. Nancy had a question. Yeah. She said, I'm studying to be a teacher and I'm a mom too. So I have to be or now the word is not organizer. I have to be organized. It's organize is the verb, and there you need the past participle. To be organized with a D at the end. The organizer is a word that we give maybe for a diary. It's a kind of organizer.
Or an event. Someone can organize an event, I think.
Yeah, an organizer can be the person who organizes something, or it could be a physical thing that helps you organize. Yeah. Sometimes in the drawers, the drawers that we have in our wardrobes, you can get now organizer, and they're like sort of organizers. They're little partitions, so you don't lose everything in the drawer. You have these little partitions. They're called organizers too.
And when you use organizer as a noun, Nancy, remember to use the article an, A-N, so an organizer. And Christine says, work, family, studies. Mums are well known for our ability to juggle many tasks at once, to juggle, to throw things up in the air and catch them again. Yeah, I think that's true.
I think that's true. That can actually bring us on, because Craig, you had prepared a very interesting question that I'd like to answer.
Which one's that?
Which was, do you agree with the statement, you can't have an extremely successful career and a happy family life? I thought that question was very interesting.
We spoke about this yesterday in the conversation course, and Caroline has got an interesting opinion on that. What do you think? Before you answer, one thing that we needed to clarify, because we had a debate in the conversation course, we need to clarify that extremely successful career, that means we're not defining what success means for you. We're saying that society's idea of a successful career person, which is the CEO of a company, a very successful politician, a famous person, or someone who has reached the top in their chosen profession, extremely successful career.
So it's like the way other people view you. Yeah.
Society views you.
Society view you.
What do you think?
No. Yes. Do I agree with it?
Do you agree with it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You can't have.
No, I don't think you can have an extremely successful, because I think the extremely successful careers defined by society mean that you are dedicated to your work all the time. And if you're dedicated to your work all the time, you haven't got time for people. And a happy family life often comes, it doesn't depend on money, a happy family life. A happy family life depends on the time that you can spend with one another. For me, it's my opinion, but I think no to that. I think that's very, very, and for me, I have a big family, obviously, with 3 kids. And I am interested in my career. Don't get me wrong. I'm interested in my career. I'm interested in my work. But for me, I made that decision a very long time ago.
The family comes first.
My family comes first for me. Yeah. And the thing that sustains me is the relationship with my family. My career is nice to have, but it doesn't sustain me it sustains me physically. It gives me money so that I can buy things and travel and it sustains my mind. I enjoy my,
you get satisfaction.
Absolutely. I get a lot of satisfaction from my work, a lot. But if I wanted to be extremely successful in what I did, I would be earning probably 5 times what I'm earning. And I wouldn't be working from home in this office. I'd have like a designer office, maybe.
Personal assistant.
Personal assistants. Craig, you could come and work for me.
With pleasure.
No, that's not that's not what I've got. So it's very important to me to do my work properly, and I get a lot of satisfaction, and I want to do it well. And I do want to be successful in that. But that's the definition of success for me. But in terms of what society define as extremely successful, so high salary, what would you say? Widespread recognition?
Yes, respect, maybe.
Respect from many people.
Yeah.
No, I'm just a little unimportant Lynn from Put It Like This. But I'm super happy. I'm a very happy person.
Which is the most important thing.
What about you, Craig? Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree, but it's difficult for me to have an opinion because I don't have children.
Well, a family doesn't mean just children. I think family means partners and it means friends. Yeah. And we all have parents.
No, I don't have any friends, really.
Craig, I'm your friend.
Joking.
Look at all the friends you've got here in the Facebook chat.
I know. I'm joking. I'm joking. But yeah, no, I do agree with you, and I think that you need to be 100% pretty much dedicated to your career to get to the top, unless you are extraordinarily talented and have fantastic opportunities. So yeah, generally speaking, then I would agree with that you can't have an extremely successful career and a happy family life. Hello, Wonder, who says, you also would have to define what a happy family life is.
That's also true. And I also have to put in a big caveat here, is that, of course, I don't know anybody who has an extremely successful career. Maybe we should ask Bill Gates or Elon Musk, or I don't know. I mean, who are we to say? We don't know. We're just not extremely successful.
No. And as I said yesterday with the group, that quite a few successful people are divorced. They're not particularly, they don't have a particularly healthy family life because maybe the children have taken drugs, or they're spoiled, they're too rich, they have too much money. So it's difficult. Andres has a question. Why don't look for balance between career and personal life? For answering the last question, why?
I think maybe you want to say, Andres, are you suggesting why not look for a balance between career and personal life?
Work-life balance, yeah. We spoke about that as well. It's getting quite difficult, Andres, these days to put boundaries and draw the line between work and family life, especially with technology that our phones are usually on. And sometimes the companies don't put clear boundaries of when they can contact you by email, when they can message you or phone you. And also with the pandemic, that many people working at home also have the lines blurred, which means not very clear. So we're working at home, a lot of us now, and we're working in the family area, in the family space. So the line is even more blurred. So it's becoming very difficult, Andres, I think. We really have to stop there. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Just very, very quickly.
Graciela has a lovely comment, though. Put Graciela's comment there for everybody.
Let me find it. Graciela, what did she say?
I love it. She says, hi from Buenos Aires. Extremely happy is too much for the family life.
Yeah, let's stick with content, okay? I'm content with my family life.
Okay, I'm very happy, but yeah, extreme is probably too extreme. I agree, Graciela.
So try to take these home with you and use them next week. Number 1, set your goals. Number 2, prioritize your tasks. Make sure you set a time limit, because the work will expand to fill the time you give it. Make sure you're organized. Block off time on your calendar for important tasks. Make sure that what you're working on is important and not urgent for someone else and not for you. Plan ahead, but be flexible. Eat that frog in the morning, the most difficult task of the day. And think about before you say yes to something, do you really, really want to do it? And then do it. If not, maybe prioritize something that's more important for you. And with that, I think we'll say goodbye. So
I think we should.
Thank you very, very much for your company today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Lots of fun. Thank you, Lynn. Before we go, we'll remind you where we're from. I'm Craig from mansioningles.com, where you can study for free. And don't forget to sign up for our free 2 weekly newsletters with exercises at different levels, and have a listen to our podcast if you haven't already at inglespodcast.com. Lynne?
And I'm Lynne from putitlikethis.com. So if any of you are interested in having a tailor-made course, so a course that's just made specifically for specific objectives that you have online, then you can get in touch with me via my website. Okay?
Putitlikethis.com.
Putitlikethis.com. Okay, so see you in a couple of weeks. I will, and I think you're seeing everybody next week.
Yes, I don't know who will be joining me next week, but there will be someone interesting, I promise, and I'll let you know on Twitter or on Facebook as soon as I know who's going to be with me next week. And of course, then we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. Thanks again. Have a good week. See you soon.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.